Class 10th, let's start a new chapter, and the chapter name is the State Judiciary, the High Courts. This is your chapter number 5, and in this chapter you are going to study about the composition and the qualifications of the High Court judges, as well as the jurisdictions of High Courts and the enforcement of fundamental rights, and the writ jurisdictions, court of record, as well as the High Court's power of judicial review. So let's start the chapter. The High Court. The High Court is the apex court in the state, right? High Court is the apex court in the state. And in India, there are 25 High Courts. The total number of High Courts in India are 25. Whereas there are 28 states in India. So three among these, I told you about the 25 number of high courts are there. So three among them have jurisdictions over more than one state, right? Okay, here are the examples are also given. So you can read out the examples here, which is given in page number 77, right? Now come to the second topic, that is the composition and the organization of the High Court. So composition means how many members are there. So let's talk about the composition. Each High Court. So there are 25 High Courts, and each High Court has a Chief Justice and other such judges as the President may from time to time appoint. So appointment is done by the President, right? So there is one Chief Justice and other such judges. So number of judges are not fixed as the Supreme Court, because Supreme Court has one Chief Justice and 30 other judges. So total there are 31. That is fixed, right? But when we talk about the High Court judges, the composition that varies, right? So there is one Chief Justice and other such judges. So number of judges are not fixed. They may vary or vary from state to state. The number of judges of a High Court is not fixed, as I told you, and therefore their number varies from state to state. Now next is appointment of judges. As I told you, the appointment is done by the President of India in consultation with the Chief Justice. When we talk about the appointment of other judges, so the President appoint, but with the consultation of Chief Justice of India, right? A Chief Justice of Supreme Court. And the governor of the concerned state, this is very important, just underline, and the governor of the concerned state, this is point to be noted, right? So appointment, President will do that job. Secondly, with the consultation of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, as well as the governor of the concerned state, when we talk about the appointment of High Courts, right? Now the next topic is additional and acting judges. So in some cases they may there is a requirement of additional or ad hoc judges, right? So in case of temporary increase in the business of a High Court, the President can appoint additional judges. So such a person should not have attained the age of 62 years, right? So in some cases in the High Court requires some additional judges on the basis of ad hoc basis, we can say, right? So when a judge of a High Court is unable to perform his or her duties of his or her office, then the President may appoint a duly qualified, means equally qualified person to act as a judge of that court. So the acting judge holds office until the permanent judge has resumed his or her duties. So that acting judge can hold that office until the permanent or the permanent judge again or resume his duties, right? Now when the Chief Justice is unable to perform his duties, then the President may appoint one of the permanent judges to act as a Chief Justice, but in a temporary basis, right? So Chief Justice also can be appointed if the Chief Justice is unable to discharge his work, then in that case also the President can appoint duly, or we can say the president may appoint one of the permanent judges to act temporarily as a chief justice. Now next, come to the next topic, that is the qualifications of judges. Okay, qualification, the top of all, he or she must be a citizen of India, right? Secondly, one should serve in a judicial office for at least 10 consecutive years, or one should have been serving or have been advocate of a high court for at least 5 consecutive years. So I'm again and again focusing this word, that is emphasizing this word consecutive. So consecutive means continuous 5 years or continuous 10 years. So this is important point to be noted, right? So if you don't write consecutive, or if you don't write this continuous 10 years or 5 years, you can lose the marks, right? Okay, now, so one should have been advocate of a high court for at least 10 consecutive years. It's not written there, better you write down 10 consecutive years. Or one should have held a judicial office for at least 10 years, at least 10 consecutive years, continuous years, right? Okay, now next is the term of office and removal. So every judge of a high court shall hold office until he or she attains the age of 62 years. So this is point to be noted. When we talk about the high court judges, once the person is appointed as a judge of a high court, he or she can serve until he or she attains the age of 62 years. And in Supreme Court, the judge can serve until he or she attains the age of 65 years. So this is a difference in a tenure of, or the term of, the office of the High Court judges and the Supreme Court judges, right? Okay, now. Now, point to be noted here, a judge can be removed from his or her office on the ground of proved misbehavior or incapacity. So the judge can also be removed on the ground of misbehavior or proved misbehavior or incapacity. Now, the procedure is there, but it is possible only when both the houses, that means Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha of Parliament, pass a resolution by a majority of a total membership of that house and a majority of not less than 2/3 of the members present and voting, right? So 2/3 of the members should present and voting for and against, right? Okay, and they should then present an address, that is request, to the president for such removal, right? Now, thus the mode of removal of a judge of the High Court is exactly the same of the judge of the Supreme Court. So it is a difficult procedure and is meant to ensure independence of the High Court. A judge may be writing to the president resign his office. So in case of removal, a judge can be removed, or a judge may also give resignation by writing resignation to the president, right? Now next topic is oath of office. So a judge of a high court, before he enters upon his office, shall take an oath before the governor of the state. Underline governor of the state, this is important. So he or she takes an oath before the governor of the state, and some person, or some person appointed in that behalf by him, right? Okay, now the oath requires him to bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India, to perform the duties, his or her duties, without fear, favor, ill will, or affections, right? As well as to uphold the Constitution and the laws of India, right? Okay, now salary and allowances, as you all know that the judges and the Chief Justice of the High Courts, they get handsome salaries, as well as they also get allowances, right? And the Chief Justice and the other judges' salaries are paid, and the salaries are paid and which are charged on the consolidated fund of the state, as well as the chief justice and other judges are paid such salaries as may be prescribed by the parliament, and their salaries are never reduced unless until there is financial emergencies, right? Okay, now next is, okay, now the most important topic is jurisdiction of the High Court. So I already told you about the jurisdiction. So jurisdiction is what? It's a power that a court, that means High Court, that a court of law exercises to carry out judgment, to interpret the laws, and to settle the disputes, to settle the conflicts. So that is known as the jurisdictions, right? So the high courts has an extensive jurisdictions both in the original as well as the appellate jurisdictions, as like the Supreme Court does, right? Okay, now let's talk about the original jurisdiction of the High Court. So original jurisdictions, as I already told you, that the original jurisdiction means the case which goes directly to the court. So original jurisdiction of High Court means the case is hearing for the first time, or the case goes directly to the High Court, or the High Court is hearing the case for the first time, first instant. So that is known as original jurisdiction of a High Court, right? So here are the examples given. The cases regarding will, divorce, marriage, and your company law, contempt of court can be taken up by the High Courts directly, right? Secondly, constitutional cases, so regarding rules and regulations, can be taken up under the original jurisdiction of the High Court, right? Now, next is the High Court has the power to issue writs for the enforcement of the fundamental rights. So, if somebody's fundamental rights is violated, in that case also, that type of cases is also taken up by the or can be heard by the High Court directly, right? So next is the High Court has jurisdictions to hear an election petitions also. Appeal lies to the Supreme Court, right? So the disputes related to the elections, that can be also taken directly to the High Courts, but the final appeal, that lies to the Supreme Court also. Okay, now next is appellate jurisdiction. So appellate jurisdictions of a High Court means that the High Courts can hear appeal from the lower courts. So the lower courts are like maybe the district courts, criminal courts, or the session courts, criminal courts, and your civil courts, right? So the High Courts can hear appeal from these courts. Now see here are the cases. Examples are given. In civil cases, the High Court hear the appeals against the decision of the district judges. Secondly, in criminal cases also, the judge, the High Court judge can hear appeal against the decision given by the session judges. Session judge means criminal judge. The session court means, against the session court means the decision given by the judge of the criminal court, right? We call it session court. Now next example it's given here. Against the judgments of assistant session judge, the chief metropolitan magistrates, and other such judicial magistrate, where the sentence of the imprisonment exceeds 4 years, right? And also appeals lie in the matter concerning the land revenue, and against the orders of the tribunals also, and against the state transport authority and the labor tribunal also. In additional to what has been mentioned is that a sentence of death must be confirmed by the High Court before it can be carried out. So if sentence to death is given, so that is to be confirmed by the High Court before it is carried out, right? Before it is carried out by the lower courts. It should be confirmed by the high courts. So that cases also yeah, can like be the cases or the decision given in such cases by the lower courts can be heard by the judges of the high court in case of appeal, right? So in case of appeal, or in case of the if the person is not satisfied with the decision of the decision given by the lower court, so they can appeal to the high court in such cases, right? Okay, now next is revisory jurisdiction, very important. The high court may call for the record of any case which has been decided by the subordinate court. So I told you about the subordinate court. So subordinate court means lower to the high court, right? So the high court can ask or can call for any record of any case which has been decided by the subordinate court. If the high court feels that the subordinate court has exercised a jurisdiction not vested in it, or has acted with gross irregularity, it may make such order in case as it deems fit. This is known as revisory jurisdiction of the High Court. So, in other words, it is also written there, if the High Court is reasonably convinced that there was a miscarriage of justice. So, miscarriage of justice means if the High Court thinks or feels that there is some mistake has been done by the lower courts, subordinate courts. In that case, and if the court is like convinced that there is something is mistaken, or there is a miscarriage of justice, or the violations of the principles of natural justice, it will set aside subordinate court's verdict and pronounce a new judgment. So in that case, the high court can order the lower courts or the subordinate court to hand over all the records, and the high court can put that lower courts set aside, and or the court's verdict means court's announcements, lower court's announcement, and pronounce a new judgment and can give a new judgment, right? So that is a revisory jurisdiction of a high court. Now next is enforcement of fundamental rights, that is writ jurisdiction. So now writ is what? Writ is a legal documents issued by the high courts in case of the violations of law, or in case of somebody's fundamental rights is violated, right? So the high court can has the power to issue the writs for the enforcement of fundamental rights or for any other purposes. So I told you about the writs issued by the Supreme Court. So same here also, in enforcement of fundamental rights, all the high courts has the power to issue writs to a person or an official. For example, I told you about the various name of the writs: habeas corpus, writs of habeas corpus, writs of mandamus, writs of prohibitions, quo warranto, and certiorari. So these are the writs which are issued in case of violations of rights, fundamental rights. Okay, regarding this writs of habeas corpus, quo warranto, and prohibitions, writs of prohibitions, and mandamus, certiorari, these I already explained in the previous chapter, that is the Supreme Court. So I think I need not to explain it again, right? So better you just go through it, and for more detail you watch the previous video, the Supreme Court, right? Okay, now next is the High Court as a court of record. This also I explained in the previous video. So High Court is also known as a court of record because its judgments and the orders are preserved as record, and these can be produced in any court as precedents, right? So the law laid down by the High Court is binding on all subordinate courts and administrative tribunals in the state, but it does not bind the other high courts, although because Because of its merit, it can be produced in the support of any argument, right? And now, secondly, if a person commits a contempt of high court, that means if somebody tries to lower the dignity of the high court, then the court has the authority to punish that person, right? So neither the Supreme Court nor the Parliament can deprive the High Court of this right. So this is the High Court as a court of record. Okay, children, that's all for the day. I hope you have understood the chapter. And before I take your leave, I just want to say that kindly watch the 24th and 25th videos, because I've explained the Supreme Court. So the students who have really gone through those videos can really figure out this chapter easily, right? Because these chapters are interlinked and connected. So almost they are same, both the chapters, the Supreme Court and the High Court. So I suggest you to watch those videos, and it's really going to help you, right? Okay, children, I'll take your leave now, and enjoy your winter vacation, as well as stay safe, stay healthy, maintain physical distance, wear mask, and do not forget to have a social and physical distance, right? These days. And keep learning.